Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the SoCal Boxing Report. I am here joined with my boy Anthony Zaldana. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good. It's a really good Sunday. I'm gonna say we're a week out of some really awesome boxing match coming up. Errol Spence Jr. versus Lamont Peterson. We do have Lamont Peterson He'll be calling into our show later on today, and of course, we also have something we would like to address. A very kind of
controversial, we should say.
Controversial, kind of, I'm not going to say special, but sensitive subject.
Exactly, a sensitive subject. I think that's the word for it. And yeah, we do have Lamont calling in today to talk about his upcoming fight with Errol the Truth Spence, which should be a great matchup. You know, Lamont Peterson is a very, very well-seasoned veteran in the boxing game, and he's been around quite a few of the best opponents in boxing, so that should be a good phone call.
Well, before we talk about Lamont Peterson, a two division world champion, by the way, who did give up the WBA regular welterweight title that he won from I can't even pronounce it, Avayasin last year, just to face Errol Spence Jr., the IBF world welterweight champion currently. Over this week, we did have a couple of boxing matches as boxing is starting to make its way into 2018. On Thursday, we had Vladimir Hernandez versus Daniel Valdivia. It was a rematch, a top-ranked boxing. Was it on? It wasn't aired, right?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't aired. It was a top-ranked bout. It was at the Tachi Palace Casino in Lemoore, California. And you had Daniel Valdivia that was going up against Hernandez again. It was a rematch from an Iron Boy fight in Arizona. And, you know, I caught the stream on Facebook Live, and it was the same exact type of fight that Daniel fought the first time.
Yeah, it was.
He looked like he never could get going. It's another tough loss because, you know, Top Rank has been investing a lot in these Central California fighters, you know. Central California, Northern California, from Jose Ramirez to Joe Louis Lopez to Andy Vences. The list just goes on and on of these Central California fighters that Top Rank is investing in, and it's a tough loss for Daniel because I know Daniel personally. You do as well.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always tough to see somebody like that take a loss, especially when I honestly believe he has more talent than what he put forth.
2 back-to-back losses.
No, exactly. And then Friday on Showtime, we had some fights that were headlined by Clarissa Shields, and she took on a 41-year-old 17-time champion in Tori Nelson. And I think if this fight might have taken place 5 or 6 years ago, it would have gone a little bit different. But when you're 41 years old, I tell you, the only person that's undefeated is Father Time. And Tori looked her age that day. And I'm not saying that in a negative way towards Clarissa, because Clarissa's going to continue to learn. She's a 2-time gold medalist, and she's going to continue to learn as a professional. She's going to continue to improve. The first round was kind of a filling out round. The second round, you know, I seen Clarissa starting to get into the swing of things per se. And then after that, it was a shutout. You know, there's still a lot of wildness. There's still a lot of rawness in Clarissa.
Yeah.
I think she could have used her jab more. I think she could have, actually took Tori out. But this is her 5th fight, and she's still yet to knock out an opponent.
Oh, really?
For being as big and bad as Clarissa Shields puts herself out there to be, because it's not the media, you know, it's herself. She gets on the social media and she likes to brag about how she's going to kick people's asses the same way she did against, you know, or what she said about Christina Hammer. Hey, she says, look, Hammer was here. She didn't even want to fight. She didn't show up to fight, you know, and there was some issues with her visa. So she was here. She was sitting in the crowd, and she did take in Clarissa's fight. But there's a big difference between a work visa and a tourist visa.
Yeah.
And I guess she was here on a tourist visa, so she wasn't able to box. She wasn't able to make her U.S. debut that night. And Clarissa basically said, look, I'm going to drop down to 160 and I'm going to kick her ass. So that's a big fight to look forward to between her and Christina Hammer.
So we hope to see that one hopefully this year.
Exactly.
That would be a good fight. And it'd be good for women's boxing as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think women's boxing is just continuing to shine. You also had Golden Boy sign Sinisa Estrada.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's another big step. And you know, Golden Boy got somebody Sinisa size in their stable. You know, they have the Olympic female Olympic boxer, Marlon Esparza.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they may have something up their sleeve there for a future matchup between Sinisa Estrada and Marlene Esparza. What we're going to be talking about now is a situation that came out in the news just a few weeks ago. And it's a very sensitive subject. And what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about the 1984 Olympic gold medalist. He was a boxer. He's the first Mexican American ever to win an Olympic gold medal. His name's Paul Gonzalez. He's out of East Los Angeles. And there was some accusations made against Paul Gonzalez a couple of weeks ago. He was arrested. They brought up some counts on lewd act with the child, and they did arrest him on some child pornography. In boxing is for me, looking at it from the outside, it's a safe haven for children. A lot of kids that are on the streets, a lot of kids that have been to juvenile hall, a lot of kids that need to change their life around kind of turn to boxing. And they look to these coaches, they look to these trainers as mentors. And when something like this goes down, whether it went down or whether it didn't, because right now it's just an alleged crime.
Yeah.
It takes the faith away from parents who entrust their children. And it kind of gives boxing a black eye, amateur boxing a black eye. It's a sad situation all around. For not just for Paul, but especially for that child that made that accusation. I hope it's not true, because I would never wish that on any child.
Yeah.
That they would ever have to go through somebody taking advantage of them, an adult, somebody they look up to taking advantage of them and committing the crimes that Paul allegedly did. It's tough. It's tough on the gym. It's tough on the owner of the gym. It's tough on the other kids. It's tough on the parents, because Paul's been in the community a long time, and a lot of people know him.
Mm-hmm.
And after all these years, this is the first accusations that's ever been made against Paul.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
If you go on YouTube, there is a special documentary on him, as far as how he started into boxing, when he got the gold medal, also training the kids in the gym, and you can tell he was well respected. Like when he started boxing, I believe he was part of the neighborhood. I don't know if he was part of the gang or not. I'm not mistaken, but if I'm mistaken, but when he was training in the gym and turned his life going to the boxing gym, he would do road work in the gangsters' neighborhood, and they would allow him to go into the neighborhood and do his road work and stuff. So he had that respect in that type of neighborhood, and then in the community, like you said, and then in the boxing gym.
These crimes are committed over and over again, and there were multiple victims, multiple children that were involved. And this is, like I said, Paul had been part of the boxing community for over 30 years. Mm-hmm. There in East LA. And for this just to arise, and I'm not saying I don't believe, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that I don't believe the victim or believe the person that's making the accusation, because I really don't know all the details. But what I do know is that it's just a little odd that we don't have, we're 2 weeks into the arrest, 2.5 weeks into the arrest, that we don't have more victims coming forward saying, hey, he touched me, hey, he did this, hey, he did that.
I had to go through that. I went through that when I was 5 years old, and it's embarrassing. It's the shame that you feel and the scaredness that you feel. So you never know who is telling the truth. I was accused of lying by one person, and I won't say any names, but I had to go through that at school. Like my mom had to take me out of class to have to deal with the police and all that stuff, and it's hard to come out and say something like that, to actually speak something, to another adult. So if the allegations are true, I really give the utmost respect for this young girl to come forth, and knowing that if it were to come out true, if it were to come out in the public, that she would have to go through that herself, things that she may have to deal with, and a part of what he also has to deal with as well.
You should know where you're taking your kids, who your kids are going to be around, who your children are going to be around. I think they should do a little bit of the legwork and look into these gyms as well to kind of see who the trainers are there, what type of people are in the gym, you know, and kind of until you get a until you get that feeling that it's going to be okay for you to take your kids and leave them there, and you have that comfort level where you feel safe dropping your child off at that gym. I think it goes part on the parents, but it goes part on the gym owners as well. They just can't have anybody in there.
Exactly. So if you guys want to call in, or even if you want to call in and maybe give us an early question on Lamont Peterson, give you a little background of Lamont, actually. I hope anyone
Yes.
who knows boxing knows who Lamont Havoc Peterson is. So he is a 2-division world champion. Him and his brother grew up homeless, actually. You know, for a while they basically lost their parents to, I believe, jail time and other things. And Barry Hunter came across these two boys, and he took them in and he taught him how to box. And soon enough, they became great amateur stars, and eventually went to the pros. Peterson became a WBA and IBF light welterweight champ when he fought Amir Khan.
Correct.
And when he fought Amir Khan, he was stripped of the WBA title because he was tested positive with PEDs. But the WBA reinstated Khan as the WBA champion. And then on April 11, 2015, he fought Danny Garcia for the first on a catch weight of 143. That was the first time he became. Is there someone on the line? Is there someone? Oh, okay, that was the first time he became a PBC. Fought under the PBC umbrella. And then obviously after that, he moved on to welterweight. And in October 2015, he faced Felix Diaz, who was a 2008 Olympic gold medalist. And then he fought David Avayasin for the WBA regular welterweight champion. Keith Thurman is the super welterweight WBA champion. That's a little hard to guess. Always when they're elevated, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So he could have fought Keith Thurman. I know Keith Thurman ended up fighting Danny Garcia, and then he got hurt, so he had to stand down for that little time. But instead, Peterson decided to vacate the WBA title and take on the IBF welterweight champion, Earl Spence Jr. Not a lot of people are actually stepping up to the game, and Lamont Peterson is doing it.
You know, Peterson is taking on some quality opponents, and this is honestly going to be, to me, a big, I don't want to say stepping stone yet because Spence hasn't gone through him, but it's going to be a good test, I should say,
Definitely.
for Spence because, yeah, he fought Cal Brook, and he went across the pond, and he took care of Brook, and he took care of business. But I honestly don't think Brooks' eye was the same after getting beat by Triple G.
But you got to remember, they were two different.
Two different eyes, but
Yeah.
still, when you have a broken eye socket, I can't imagine wanting to get hit, you know. And Earl Spence is top notch. He's world class.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have him in front of you, protecting that eye, try not to get hit. So then he gets hit in his other eye, you know, and it's tough. And I give all the credit to Spence for going over there and beating him.